everyone, it's Pat and I'm back with lesson number 10 in our series of basic recorder lessons, and today we're going to be learning high C. So yes, we're adding a new note to our arsenal of notes. I'm assuming that before you came on to this lesson you worked really hard on the low E and the low D. Remember, you can take 6 weeks to learn every lesson, 2 months, or 1 day. Whatever works for you. Now for those of you using our book, I'm sure you have already figured out that we have not gone in chronological order, and that's just because in this series of lessons I only have so much time to get as many notes as you're going to need for a basic level of recorder playing. Today we're probably going to start right around page 18. But first we're going to review. Oh, and before we review, I have to tell you, it's April 22nd where I live. It's snowing big white fluffy flakes. All the trees are covered, all the ground is covered. It's a winter wonderland, which also means all of the flowers are covered. That's what life is like when you live north, way north of the equator. But let's get right into our lesson. We have learned low D, we've learned low E. We've learned a low G. I'm going to move this so you can see my hand. We've learned A, we've learned B, and we have learned high D. And today we're going to add the high C. The only difference between the high D and the high C is your thumb. So C, 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 D, D, D. C, C, D, D. C, D, C, D. So I spoke the pattern that we usually play when we're practicing new notes. So now I will play the pattern. I'm going to start, what did I start on? Oh, yeah, D. But we're going to start on the C. Here we go. When I'm good at that, and then, now if you want to pause the video and practice that till you have it, go ahead. Like I said, C to D is pretty easy. It's when you start playing the A's and the B's and you're doing all these notes together that your fingers start flipping around. So we're going to practice a couple other patterns today. We're going to practice A to C. That's not a hard one because all that moves is your first finger. So A, C, C. A, C, C. Let's play that 2-note pattern. On your A, ready, play. And just work it till you have it. The next one I want to do is B to D. That's a little trickier. Your B and then your D, so you have to switch 2 and 1 fingers around. So B, B, D, D, B, B, D, D. And again, if you have to pause the video to work on that, go ahead. Then the next thing I like to do is go G, A, B, C, D. D, C, B, A, G. And in a class, I would really take my time and we would do 3 notes of every note. Actually, I'm going to move this just so you can see my hand. As you know, we've already got our right hand up here, but I really want you to be able to see this. Then you want to go back down. I'm going to go a little faster just for the sake of time. So again, this is where you pause the video, you work on those new notes till you have them. If you feel really comfortable, you can start on the D, the E, the G, and go all the way up. And you can do it very slowly. So just write out a pattern. D, E, G, A, B, C, D, C, B, A, G, E, D. Use your 3-note pattern, use your 2-note pattern, and eventually use your 1-note pattern. I would work on that before I go any further in this video. But last lesson, we learned how to play our Peruvian folk song called ADIOS. And I said that you were supposed to try to learn it. Now, isn't it nice to know that I can't tell if you really learned it or not? But you're going to know if you learned it well if you can play it with me. So we're going to play this song together and see how well you learned it. 1, 2, here we go. So if you were able to play with me, congratulations. If you weren't yet able to keep up that speed, well, just keep practicing it. Again, if you have the accompaniment files with it, it makes it a lot more fun to practice it. But I actually like that song. I love the sound of the low E. So now today, we're going to have to learn where the C is on the staff. Because we have to learn, the goal of this is not just to play the recorder, but to learn how to read the music. So if you look real closely at it, the C is on space number 3. 1, 2, and 3. There it is. That's how you finger it. Thumb, middle finger. So this is our second note that we've learned that's on a space. The other note we learned that was on a space was the A. There's the A, it's on space number 2. The C is on space number 3. Now the C is like the D and the B. The stems go down. They go down because they're from the 3rd line up, and that's when stems go down. Now today what I'm going to do, we're actually not going to do songs till the next lesson, or this lesson is going to be way too long. And the next lesson is going to be all music, all songs. But let's take a look at exercise 1. It starts on a D. It goes to a C. Then we're going to have D, B, D, G, and we have a repeat sign. Remember that repeat sign we learned? I'm not going to use the repeat sign in the lesson today for the sake of time, but I do want to play this exercise. So you're going to finger your D, then you're going to know the next note is C. So while you're holding that whole note or semi-breve, you're thinking in your head, the next note's C, and I'm going to have to put my thumb down. So here I go. 1, 2, ready, play. Now again, sometimes with classes I vary the rhythm so it doesn't get boring, and I'll take these whole notes or semi-breves and I will turn them into 4/4 notes, and I'll play it like this. exercise 2, we've incorporated our eighth notes. So what you're sensing now and seeing is that we're starting to incorporate into everything we're going to play, everything that we've been learning. And next lesson, when we have a bunch of songs that we're going to play and I'm going to give you, you're going to want to really look things over, and I'm going to review it all with you. But here's how exercise 2 goes. 1 and 2, and here I go. Now you should have noticed in exercise 1 and 2, well, you shouldn't have to have, but they go B, D, G, B, D, G. And there is a reason that I have that in the exercise, because if you want to play Jingle Bells, that's the pattern you have to be able to play, B, D, G. So I've put it into an exercise so when you get to Jingle Bells, you already know that pattern. Now, exercise number 3, we're only going to use the high C. Here we used the high D, and here we use C and D. And exercise 3, even though it's an exercise, it's actually quite a nice little melody. I would practice speaking and playing. B, A, C, B, G, C, B, A, B. B, A, C, B, G, C, B, A, G. Again, when you can do that, you're ready to play it. 1, 2, here I go. So before you go to lesson 11, I want you to be able to play those exercises. Now, if you're somebody who's learning this pretty quickly, you're probably just popping from one lesson to the next. Again, this is nice because people go at their own pace. If it takes you 2 weeks to learn that, that's okay. But know that lesson 11 is all songs, so that will be fun. Now, I'm wondering if any of you out there went to the website and played Mary Had a Little Lamb with the music, and if you enjoyed it, and I'd like to know how it worked for you in the comments. So I'm hoping you went there. That was the last lesson, and we learned Mary Had a Little Lamb, and we said, oh, go to the website and find out what it's like to play with music in the background. So let me know how that went. So move on to lesson 11 when you're really good with these notes that I've taught you today, because the next couple lessons will be just songs, and we will also learn, maybe we will learn the next new note in that lesson. But anyway, again, thanks for joining me. You should give yourself a pat on the back if you've made it all the way to lesson 10. Have a great day.